Hello, Mikel.
Hello.
David Luiz, he's back. Is he going to play tomorrow or are you saving him for Sunday?
He is available. He's been training well the last few days, so he will be involved in the squad.
Are you tempted to play Lacazette so he can start scoring again in a while?
I'm tempted with all of them the way I see them train, obviously, but we'll make that decision tomorrow.
Can I ask you about a player who's been playing really well for you, Elneny? He won you over?
Well, I think he's responding really well to all the challenges that we are putting in front of him. He had a big one when he came back from his loan spell to show what he could bring to the squad. And I think everybody's seen what he can do. So I'm really pleased with his performances and what he brings to the team.
Any chance of a new contract for him? Is something you'll be discussing going forward?
Let's go step by step, please. And what I can say is I'm really pleased with the player and everything that he's doing. And hopefully we can continue like that and perform really well through the season.
Is it the way the league and the Europa League is panning out? Is it almost like you have two teams at the moment, one for the league, one for the Europa League?
Well, it's not like that, and you will see tomorrow some changes again. I believe we have to manage over time the minutes and the exposure that we get with the players, with the amount of games that we have not now, but then they go international week, they play 3 games, and then I think till March we're playing every 3 or 4 days. So we have to think, what we need at the present, but as well mid-terms as well a little bit because it's going to get really, really condensed.
And the last one from me, Tony Adams was on TV after the Man United game and he said some interesting things about you. He said, you've done a remarkable job. Steve Bold called you the governor. And Tony said he can't speak highly about enough of what you've done since you've taken over. So I was just wondering what you'd like to say back to that. Such a legend as Tony Adams, really speaking so highly of the job you've done.
Well, obviously, we have to take always in consideration big legends from the football club, what they say, their opinions, things that they see as well, and what we are able to transmit to these people that they've been involved and they've been a big part of who we are now as a club. So thank you so much for their support. Obviously, it's pleasant to see that they feel that way with what we are trying to do. And as well, I know that's still how much we have to do to get to the level that we all want and they were in the past. That's the challenge that we face ahead of us.
Thank you very much. Good luck. Thank you.
Thanks, George. Ian from TalkSport.
Hi, Mikel. How are you?
Hi.
So how big a result was Sunday? Because Arsenal hadn't won there at Old Trafford for something like 16 years. So how big a result for confidence was Sunday?
Yes, obviously we needed that because we were really disappointed with the result against Leicester, considering how the game went. But to see the reaction of the team in such a stadium with the history we have in terms of results, playing at Old Trafford, and then the courage, I said to the game, before the game and after the game, that I wanted to see the team playing with courage, being us. And I think we were us from the first minutes. And to get a big result over there, obviously it's always a big boost in terms of confidence and belief. And now it's being consistent and doing it again in 3 days later.
You've been asked about the schedule and about mixing your team, changing your team for the Premier League and Europa League. How realistic playing 2 or 3 times a week, and you said you'll be doing it through till March, how realistic is it to battle on 2 fronts in terms of the Premier League and the Europa League, throw the FA Cup in there as well if you want from the new year?
That's a tough question. I think now we have the numbers to do that. I think we can rotate players and we have enough players in the squad to be able to maintain a really competitive squad every 3 or 4 days. The moment you start to get injuries, suspensions, and whatever it comes, it's going to get more and more complicated. But this is our obligation to try to compete in every competition. And we're going to be trying to do that till the end. And obviously the circumstances will tell how much or how well we can do.
And finally from me, you've been in the job now for 11 months. And as you've been saying, you've been getting a lot of praise from legends at the club and other commentators as well. Do you feel now absolutely like this is your team and you're doing everything the way you want to, and that if Arsenal succeed now, it's all down to you?
No, it's down to the players, how they perform and what they are able to achieve and do on the football pitch. I'm just here, another piece around the club to try to help them as much as possible, to give them confidence, to give them or pass them my idea of how we have to play, how we have to live together, how I understand this profession, and I know how complicated it is. But yeah, it's been almost 11 months. Almost 4 of them at home, sitting at home. So yeah, for the first job, I think it's very special circumstances and that we try to manage the best possible way.
Good luck tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ian. We're joined by a few members of the media from Norway today. So if we could go first to Hakon from Discovery Norway, please.
Greetings from Norway.
Hello.
Mikel, having analyzed Molde, what do you view as their weaknesses and strengths?
Their strengths are that they work really well as a team. They are really a strong physical team, really well organized. I would say defensively, really hard to beat when they get in this middle low block, with some creative players that are dangerous in the final sets and a real threat on set pieces as well. Obviously the table now, it's really tight. We both won both games, so it will probably the most difficult game that we played so far in the competition.
Yeah, because do you view you two as the favorites for the group to advance?
Well, I don't know. It's still only two games. Things can change a lot in the next fixtures, but obviously we are at home. We have the possibility to go in front on our own. We want to finish first and get through the group stage as quickly as we can. And in order to do that, we have to beat them tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Aralas from VG Norway, please.
Hi, Mikel. You're playing against a Norwegian team, of course, and I know you have a youngster in your academy called George Lewis doing good there. I know you've been interested in a player, Sander Berge from Sheffield United as well. There's a big generation of Norwegian players coming up now with Haaland in Dortmund and Martin Ødegaard in Real Madrid. What's your opinion on that generation, and have any specific players stood out in your eyes, having followed football these latest months?
Well, normally when you see this type of talent coming continuously, it's not a coincidence. It's that a lot of things have been done really well in the last few years. I heard that there has been a lot of changes throughout academies, national teams, investment in coaches, facilities as well around the country. And you can see that coming through. I think the league as well is much competitive now. It's much better. And that brings better quality players and more prepared players to compete in different leagues around Europe. So congratulations to them, because I think they're doing a really good job.
Any specific players you enjoy more than others?
I cannot talk about individual players. You mentioned some really good ones already, so you know.
You played against Solskjaer, of course, on Sunday. Did you speak about Molde? Because, of course, he's got big knowledge about this team.
No, normally before this game, you don't have time to talk much, and even to talk about the next opponent normally is impossible.
Cheers.
Thanks, Aralas. And Danielle from Romsdals in Molde.
Mr. Arteta, what's your take on the 2 first games that Molde has done in this group stage?
Well, they have managed to win both of them, not without difficulties, as you saw in the games that I've seen as well. But again, they found a way to win them both. They will be really competitive. I expect them to be tough tomorrow, as they've been in the last 2 games that they have played in the competition so far. So we have to be ready, because it won't be easy.
Okay, thank you, Daniel.
And what do you see as their biggest offensive? Okay.
That's okay, Daniel. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
What do you see as their biggest offensive threat?
The biggest, sorry?
The biggest offensive threats.
Well, I just mentioned to your colleague that they have some creative players in the final third. They are not scared. They have some really good rotation and patterns when they get into this position. We allow them to cross the ball in the box. It would be difficult for us. And I mentioned as well the set pieces, which is, I think, a key thing in the game.
Thank you, Daniel. We'll move on to Jeremy Langdon from Sky Sports.
Yeah, thank you.
Hi, Mikel.
Hello.
Obviously, the country is going back into lockdown by the time you play Molde. It's pretty grim news, really. But what's your message to the Arsenal fans right now? And, you know, how important is it that football carries on despite lockdown?
The message to the fan is that I miss them a lot. With what we are trying to build here, I want them to be a big part of the feeling and the passion that we want to transmit as a football club. We haven't been able to spend time with them, and now they have to go and sit in their houses again. So obviously I think that increases our responsibility to give them some happiness in these moments where people are suffering, and I think mentally it's a really tough period to go through. When we have the key of happiness in some people, we have to make sure that we give them that as much as we possibly can. So my message from them is we will try our best all the time to bring that joy a little bit, even if it's through 96 minutes or whatever it is, as consistently as we possibly can.
We're speaking to Joe Willock as well. Of course, he scored in the Europa League last week, but he's found it tough to break into the Premier League team. You've got Elneny and Partey now, and Bastin and Xhaka. Some great players are playing in that kind of position. What's your message to Joe Willock about Premier League football right now?
Well, I told my message to Joe. We consider a few options for him, but he's a player that I really like. He has some special qualities that he only has in this squad and that we have to use. I think you could see the last game he played what he can do. To play in those pockets, to make runs into certain areas, his ability to make the box, his physicality, and I think he's grown and his understanding of the game and areas where he needs to be involved and affect the game is growing all the time. So I'm really happy with the way he's evolving. He's doing everything he can. So the fact that he's not playing more is, as you mentioned, because of the competition in those areas.
Just one last one. We're reading reports that William Saliba, of course, who hasn't played at all this season and who's not in the Europa League squad, is fed up basically with no football. What would you say about that?
I'm fed up with the situation because, as you could see, we tried to find a way in the last few days to give him some football. I explained that he needed that transition year when we decided to buy him and send him on loan to Saint Etienne. For many reasons that didn't happen. He didn't have that transition year, and he needs to go through that. And at the moment, with the amount of central defenders that we had in the team, we had to let him out of the squad, which is painful because as well after we have some injuries and we could have used him, but it's part of this this profession.
Thanks so much, Mikel.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jeremy. Nick Keller from Haters, please.
Hi, Mikel. Do you think William Saliba will go out on loan in January now?
Well, I don't know. We certainly tried in the last few days of the transfer window to find the right club, and we had him, but at the end of the day, we could not make it. And we will review his situation in the next few weeks, sit down with him as well, and see what's the best thing to do. But it would depend on him and other players' situation as well.
So it's a possibility anyway.
Yeah.
You were talking about the players having to play every 3 or 4 days, but you can rotate them and rest them. But you have to be there on the touchline every single game, every single training session. How are you resting and relaxing?
Well, at the moment, since I joined my new job, it's not been the case because all the time we had a lot of things going on and that's it. So in international break, if I can, 1 or 2 days, even if we cannot fly anywhere, at least spend some time, dedicate some time with my family as well and my kids that they need it and try to disconnect. But in this world, at the moment, it's not an easy thing to do. But no, I don't think just for me, but for everybody else.
Yeah. Do your family understand the demands of the job?
Well, they don't have a choice, I think. But yeah, they are really supportive. We knew that when we accepted this challenge as a family, that's the pros and the cons as well. That's like in every decision that you make in life, always have. But I feel really privileged for the opportunity they have to manage this football club, and they are fully supportive with me, which is an incredible thing to have.
Just finally on that subject, do you think with so many games, the intensity of football, being a manager is becoming a job for a younger man? For example, could you be doing this in your late 60s and do 22 years at Arsenal like Arsene Wenger?
Well, I don't know, but when I used to play for Arsene as well, I think not just myself, but I think we all admire the capacity, the mental strength that you have to survive, just survive in this job for so long. And then when you talk about a club with this dimension, to do it for over 20 years is an incredible achievement. And it shows the person and the character that you need to have to sustain and maintain with that level of pressure, demands, and energy that you need to keep doing the job the way he did it.
Okay, cheers. Thanks a lot.